So the Canon EOS M50 Mark II has finally been officially announced by Canon. It's coming out November 26th of 2021, and I'm here today to tell you why you should not buy it. Unless you should, but let me explain why. What's going on YouTube? My name is Jeremy Gray, and if you're new here, then welcome. If you're new to my channel, then I just want to point out that I am an M50 owner. I absolutely adore and love this camera. I've had it for over 2 years. It's traveled the world with me. It's made most of the content that's on my YouTube channel currently. I've taken photos with it all around the world, and I love this camera. So now, as someone who owns a Canon M50, I was super excited to see what Canon would do with the Mark II version of the camera. I read rumors, I've been waiting for months and months, and finally Canon dropped the ball, and they literally dropped the ball because the camera, it's really just, there was nothing to wait for. Their anticipation completely destroyed, hopes and dreams demolished. The camera is not what anyone really thought it was gonna be. And let me explain the differences between the two cameras, the Mark I and the Mark II, because I was really let down. I'm still let down, and I don't think I'll be buying that camera. And I was pretty darn set on upgrading to the M50 Mark II once it came out. So let me explain what changed my mind. So the autofocus has apparently been improved, but you know what? I didn't have an issue with the autofocus on the M50. It would occasionally slip and shift, but it was really nothing that I would complain about. Canon has top-notch autofocus with their dual pixel AF, so the slight upgrade, which probably could have been done through a firmware upgrade on the current M50 Mark I, is not a reason for me to upgrade. Vertical video shooting. Canon has done us the favor of letting us shoot vertical video with our Canon EOS M50 Mark II, because in the Mark I, that was simply impossible. Like, how on earth would you shoot vertical video with the Mark I? Oh. Unless, look at that, vertical video. If there's a reason why they added this feature and you know it, please let me know, because I'm shooting vertical video right now with my M50 and I don't need the M50 Mark II to do that. The only thing I could think of is if you're not using, or if you're using a tripod, you don't have an L bracket, or your head doesn't go vertical. That's the only thing I could think of, but handhelds or most tripods heads will let you shoot vertical video. I don't know why that's a feature that was added. I don't know why they're marketing it with that feature for Instagram or whatever. It's really quite pointless. So next on the list of updates on the M50 Mark II is their 4K mode. Now, if you're an M50 Mark I owner, you know that when you shoot in 4K, on top of the APS-C crop sensor crop, you get an additional 1.6 times crop. Well, on the M50 Mark II, they took away that 1.6 times crop on 4K. And you know what they did with it? They replaced it with a 1.5 times crop. So, not 6, 5. What? I'm sorry, that is just the most ridiculous thing ever. Why? 1.6 to 1.5, that's not a huge difference. They could have just taken that crop out altogether, but as we all know, Canon loves to slam the cripple hammer down on their lower end cameras. I guess that's fine. It's they don't want to give you so many options in these entry-level cameras, which I understand. But still, like, to market it with the 1.5 times crop or 1.6 is just a little ridiculous in my opinion. Now, speaking of 4K mode, if you own an M50 Mark I, then you're familiar with what happens with your autofocus when you shoot 4K. You lose Canon's flagship dual pixel autofocus and get some cruddy contrast-based focus that is just terrible and pretty much unusable. Now, on the M50 Mark II, you still have that cruddy contrast-based autofocus, so nothing changed there. I don't really understand why. I feel like they could just give us the dual pixel since they're already giving us that 1.5 times crop. I mean, just give us the dual pixel autofocus. Why can't you do that, Canon? And last but not least, there is a webcam feature for live streaming and stuff like that, Zoom calls. Now, I don't exactly know all the logistics. I know there's a way to do that with your M50 Mark I as well as many other cameras on the market, but I guess this is made easier through the software that's already in the M50 Mark II. So that could be pretty cool and useful, but if you feel like putting a little time and effort in, you could still do it with your M50 Mark I. So I don't want to sit here and bash Canon completely, because I do love my M50 Mark I and I am going to keep it around for quite some time. So let me kind of put into perspective what might make somebody buy an M50 Mark II. If you don't already own a Canon M50 Mark I and you want to upgrade from, say, like your cell phone that you're using to make your videos or vlogs, maybe the M50 Mark II could be a good camera for you. It'll be a little bit more future-proof-ish. It's just a newer camera, so it will last a little bit longer. So if you have the money to spend, then you can go for the M50 Mark II. But on the same token, you can also go for an M50 Mark I used on eBay or something like that for probably cheaper now that the M50 Mark II is going to come out. So that's also something to consider. I really honestly don't know any other reasons to buy the M50 Mark II. Maybe you have an M50 Mark I and you want a B cam, then you could just go for an M50 Mark II so you have pretty much the same camera. But again, unless you just have money to throw, I don't see any reason to buy the M50 Mark II at this time. If you have an M50 Mark I, don't upgrade. Here's what you should probably do. If you have money that you need to spend this money, you want to spend it, you want to get some kind of new gear. If you are shooting with just like the kit lens and the 22mm lens, or even just the kit lens, spend the money on a nice lens. The M50 Mark II body is about $600 USD. Now take $400 of that $600 and buy yourself a Sigma 16mm f1.4 for your M50 Mark I. That in and of itself is going to be a much better upgrade than getting the M50 Mark II body. So there's a lot better places that your money can go than the body of the M50 Mark II. And that's just my personal opinion. You could totally comment down below and tell me that I'm wrong and that I'm dumb and that you think that you should buy an M50 Mark II. And if you think that you should, please tell me why, because I can't see any reasons to do so. So with that being said, I do want to clarify one last time that I do like Canon as a company. I do like their products. I know I bashed them in this video, but it just really made me mad and annoyed that they released this update or upgrade. And looking into it and really thinking about it, I understand why they did it from a marketing standpoint. It just stinks for us YouTubers that we're highly anticipating the M50 Mark II. Thank you for listening to me rant and ramble about this camera. I maybe hope this helped you. If you were planning on buying an M50 Mark II, maybe I just saved you some money. If you have an M50 Mark I, keep using that camera and enjoying the heck out of it. It is such a good little camera. If you've got anything to say on the topic, feel free to comment down below and let me know your thoughts on the M50 Mark II. If you like this video, thumbs up. If you think I'm a dum-dum and think the M50 Mark II is amazing, give me a thumbs down. That's fine with me too. Subscribe for future content, and if you're curious about any of the gear that I use to make my videos, like the M50 Mark I, the Canon 22mm lens for the M50 Mark I or Mark II, I'll have Amazon affiliate links down in the description. If you click them, they bring you over to Amazon. If you buy anything, I get a small commission and no extra charge to you. It just helps this channel keep growing, and that is awesome. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching and listening. Comment tacos if you made it this far, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.
Watching you closely now. You're traveling at the speed of light.